What's up, everyone? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, welcome to part 2 of the 2-part series. We're going to be focusing on shell companions in this video. We focused on modules in the very first component, which I would say is the very first important piece to the puzzle. But this is the next component that is going to completely take your characters to a whole different level, really allowing you to really make your characters feel and just operate very different. And there's a whole slew of things that go into shell companions. We're going to start off in the very first place where you'll be able to obtain them, and that's going to be the Grim Pursuit. Unlike the module fights in the Threshold, you'll notice there's way more bosses here in the Grim Pursuit, and they're all fun, very diverse, have different gimmicks, and they all drop different shell companions. So this is going to be a very important factor to note, but we'll be focusing on some of the better ones you want to aim for in the near future in future videos. This is going to be one of the very first shell companion bosses you take on. Just to kind of give you a brief understanding or overview of the shell companions. For number one, what are shell companions? What do they even do? Shell companions are going to be an essential and an additional way for you to be able to fulfill matrix bonuses. But not only do they allow you to fulfill matrix bonuses, they also are going to be giving you different effects and other stat values that are going to allow you to be able to make your character much stronger and allowing you to essentially just make them more diversified. When we're taking a look at the beginner shells that you'll come across, for example, we have the Red Comet. Now you'll notice a couple of different things here. There is a star rarity, and then there's also a skill effect here. You'll also notice that this is going to also come with a attribute or a type that the shell can be. So like, for example, this is a striker shell. The next one right here, which is Scorpion Queen, is a healer shell. So you kind of can get the general gist of what type of shells there are. But you are not locked to utilizing, say, a healer shell on a healer. You can put a healer shell on a DPS, or you can put a DPS shell on a healer. The Red Comet ability, it says before the owner takes action, increases their attack by 400 flat for 1 turn. Keep in mind, this is a way for you to skyrocket some of your DPS. It is a way for you to get some additional flat stat value to allow your characters to hit harder. Now, what you'll also notice as well is that the matrix available it's only showing the onslaught set. Why is that? Well, with the shells, one unique thing about them is that they can only roll the specific set bonuses that they are showing. So for example, Red Comet can only roll Onslaught. The Scorpion Queen can only roll the Wellspring set. But then when you look at the next rarity, you'll see that the Agent Lizard can roll Onslaught, but also can roll Swift Rush, which is the speed bonus set. This is where things get a little bit interesting. And as you scale up, right? So let me give you that visual. You'll notice that you'll start having more and completely different shells with different effects, more star rarity, which means that they can be invested in more to raise their values, to make them stronger. Also, that will help with reducing their cooldowns on their passive ability that they'll have. You'll notice here as well that the matrix abilities that they'll be able to roll will increase, but that's not the only thing that will increase. Okay, so let's actually go and take a look at a shell on a character. I'm currently using White Fang that is currently maxed out. This is a striker shell, and there's a couple of different things that you'll notice here. You'll notice that I have the symbol shown here 3 times, right? So we have Harvest, Momentum, and Swift Raid here at the bottom for our matrix set bonus effects. Here is something that is really important to note. If we take a look, and let's actually filter this, what you'll notice is that some of the earlier shells are not going to have matrix effects in the 2nd and 3rd slot. The more that you scale in content, the more that you'll have this accessible to you. So this is going to be allowing you to make it easier for you to either fulfill set bonuses that you're trying to fulfill with your modules in conjunction, and or it will give you a effect that will allow you to be able to do something, you know, until you're able to filter it out with, like, say, the latter portion of a set bonus. There's a lot of different ways you can go about utilizing your shells in conjunction to your modules. The other important thing to note as well is the same thing that I mentioned with the base values. Remember, I'll show this once again. For the shells, you have a few different values. You only have rare, unique, epic, and legendary. So this is really, really important to note, okay? Now, keeping in mind that with that being the case, the scaling is also going to be very different. Let's actually empower him real quick, right? So we can get that stat value passive unlocked. All right, so there we go, right? So we have him empowered. You would need another dupe, right, to be able to bring the value up of this character, and that will unlock the passive, right? So just to kind of give you the idea of the entire process, that's essentially how it works. So once you do that, the level cap on the character will go up, and then you'll actually be able to get this passive effect unlocked, and that can roll a specific stat value, right? Now, what stat values can technically roll on your passive effects? In passive slot 1, what can you get here? You can get amplification, which is flat attack. You can get overclocking, which is percent attack. You can get source, which is going to be flat HP. Surge, which is going to be percent HP. Crystallization, which is flat defense. And crystal wall, which is percent defense, right? And that's just in the first slot. So this is also going to be included on your lower rarity units, but keep in mind that the base stat values will be much lower because they are a lower rarity. The higher the rarity is, the higher the scaling will become on those values. So I just want to kind of paint that picture. Now in passive slot 2, what can you obtain here? You can obtain things like penetration, which is going to give you more crit rate, unparalleled, which is crit damage percent. You have shadow dash. Now this is really important because this is one of the few places, it's actually the only other place that you can get a high speed roll value is on your shell. So you could not obtain speed main attribute on your modules, but you could obtain it as a substat attribute. Here is where you'll actually be able to obtain a huge quantity or lump sum potential for your speed, and that is going to be through Shadow Dash. This is the only other way you can obtain speed, and so it's going to be very important if that's something that you're aiming for. This is where you try to get it, okay? Now, vibrancy is going to increase your healing done by a certain percentage. Support is going to increase the amount of shield provided. Focus is going to increase your effect accuracy, and calm is going to increase your effect res. So very, very important stuff. Now in passive slot 3, we have some more things here. We have a generalized overall assault, which is going to be damage dealt increase. You have dauntless, which will decrease the amount of damage that you take. Shadow guard is going to basically make it to where the Animus that has the highest speed among all allies in battle decrease the damage by a certain percent. You have defense stance, which is if an Animus didn't deal damage in a turn, decreases their damage taken by a certain percent up to 3 stacks. You have synergy, which is going to basically make it to where the Animus applies healing, or when they apply healing or shield in battle, it increases their damage that they deal up to 5 stacks. You have insight, which is at the start of the battle. It increases the Animus's effect res and effect accuracy by a certain percent, and this effect decreases by 20% at the end of each turn. You have gaze, which is going to activate at the end of the turn, increasing the Animus's effect accuracy by a percent up to 5 stacks. You have blade of reason, which is going to increase reason Animus's, which again, this is now talking about the specific attributes of the character, which is going to be reason. Oddity, you have hollow, you also have consistency and disorder. These are all going to be increasing the damage dealt for specific attributes for the characters. So this is again another really important thing that you can invest in, that's going to allow you to essentially get some more value. And so that's basically that. Now keep in mind too, the other cool thing that they already have shown here is that you can actually see what the value potential rolls are when you're looking at the slot. So if you're having any trouble in the game and you cannot figure out like what are the highest values, like what can I potentially get here, you can always hit this little toggle button here, and it's going to show you like on a rare piece, this is what you would get. On a on a purple piece, this is what you would get. On a epic piece, this is what you would get. On a legendary, you can go all the way up to 20 points, right? So this is how you'll be able to actually see what your values are if you aren't familiar and you're still trying to learn, right? So now that we've gone over the passive effects, keep in mind that you can have up to 3, right? Like we just went over. Now with that, okay, it is also going to be important to understand the leveling of your shells. The shells are going to also have base attributes that it will be able to give your character. So not only will they be able to give flat HP, they'll also be able to give flat attack and as well as flat defense. Now keep in mind, based off of the type of shell it is, it will have a different amount or value that it would be able to give you. And so that's something that is going to be a varying thing based off of what shell you're using, and also the passive effects coming into play will vary as well. Now, there is a component that I do want to mention here as well, is that you do have the potential to re-roll or change what you have in your passive slots, okay? So we're gonna go to empower here. So let's say later on, and this is a much later thing, we'll be focusing this in another video, but you can reconfigure your slots. So if you have a stat that you do not like say for example, you get the perfect matrix bonuses here, and you're like, man, I don't want to go through the process trying to farm that again to get it to just naturally roll. You can go in and re-roll it for another random passive. Now, it doesn't mean it's always going to roll high, could roll lower, but it does give you the opportunity to be able to filter these and just augment them so that you're able to get better stat values. So that is something I did want to at least mention that you can do. You would be doing this process a little bit later in your progression on your account, but it is something that is there, right? Imprinting as well is going to be for the duping or raising the star rarities of or values of your character. This is going to help out with making the attribute ability that you get, or which is basically going to be the skill, just a lot more consistent and more potent. So that's essentially what that's going to be doing, right? So all in all and through, shell companions are extremely important. They can be a huge determining factor in how well or how different your character can be in not only PvE, but also in PvP. Like I said in previous videos, we will have more videos where we focus on other shell companions and the values and what's going to make more sense to actually invest in and what's going to be the best choices for you as a beginner versus mid game into end game. So we will have those types of videos coming in the near future, but I appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this 2-part series. I hope that you guys absolutely enjoyed this as much as I do, especially making these videos. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Hope to see you guys at some of the live streams. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and check out all the links down below. But that's going to be that with this one, guys. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.